Hello friends, today I want to discuss the small topic nanomaterial. This belongs to unit 1 of our subject in the AQT syllabus, that is the nanomaterials and its properties. So nanomaterials are the materials that possess the grain size on the order of the millionth of the meter. You can say these are the materials with an average grain size less than 100 nanometer. These are very small size and in which the dimension having at least one dimension is less than 100 nanometer. We can have an idea about the size of the nanomaterial, that how small these are by considering this figure. You can see the particle size is given in micrometer, so 0.001 0.01 to 1000, and we know well that in 1 meter there are 10 to the power 6 micrometer, while in 1 meter there are 10 to the power in nanometer. So that's why it is clear from the figure. You see here this human hair, pollen grains, bacteria, hepatitis B virus, fruit, carbon black. These are the given as the you can say example, and you can have an idea that the average width of the human hair is on the order of 1 lakh nanometer. You see here this belongs to 10 to more than 500. So that's why your human hair is of the order of 1 lakh nanometer. Similarly, the single particle of smoke is in the order of 1000 nanometers. So that's why we can have an idea how much small the nanomaterials are. So we in our nature there are nanomaterials that are naturally found, like you can say volcanic ash, wood from the forest fire, or polygrains. These are the example of the nanomaterials that are naturally found. Also, some nanomaterials are incidental. Incidental means though we are not going to prepare them, made them, but they are you can say it is, you can say, byproduct of the combustion process or some other process, like in the building, diesel engine, etc. Nanomaterials are also found. These nanomaterials are usually physically and chemical heterogeneous and often termed as the ultrafine particles. Now we are able to capable of making nanomaterials in the lab that are known as the engineered nanomaterials. They are intentionally produced and designed with physico-chemical properties for the specific purpose or the function, and they exist in the different shapes like the spherical, tubular, or the irregular shapes. Now, to discuss the classification of the nanomaterials. On the basis of the dimensions, nanomaterials are, you can say, divided into mainly the 4 types, and they are divided on the basis of the dimensions less than 100 nanometer. So they are divided into the 4 types. The first is the zero dimensional nanomaterials. In these type of nanomaterials, all the dimensions are in the nanoscale, that is less than 100 nanometer. These may be single crystalline, polycrystalline, or the amorphous compounds. These are composed of single or multi-chemical elements and exhibits various shapes and the forms, and either exist individually or embedded in the matrix. The second type is the one-dimensional nanomaterial. Nanomaterials are those in which one dimension in the nanoscale and other dimensions are extended. These leads to the formation of the needle-shaped nanomaterials like the nanotube, nanorods, nanowires, etc. And it also may be the single crystalline, polycrystalline, or the amorphous. It may be pure or impure and either exists individually or embedded in the matrix. The third type is the two-dimensional nanomaterials. In two-dimensional nanomaterials, 2 dimensions are in nanoscale, while the other 1 dimension is extended. Since 2-dimensional nanomaterials, so these exhibits in the plate-like sheets, so leads to the formation of nanofilm, nano layer, and nano coatings. These are made up of several chemical compositions and are used a single layer or multi-layered structure. These are deposited on the substrate and are integrated with the surrounding matrix material. The last one is the three-dimensional nanomaterials. It means there is no dimensions on the nanoscales. All are in the macro scales. So these are known as the bulk nanomaterials. These materials possess the nanocrystalline structure or involve the presence of the feature at the nanoscale. Bulk nanomaterial can be composed of the multiple arrangement of the nano-sized crystals in different orientations. 3D nanomaterial can contain dispersion of nanoparticles, bundle of nanowires, and nanotubes as well as multi-nano layers. Here you see in the figure, these are the classification of the, this figure shows the classification of the nanomaterials. So here this classification means this is the zero dimension nanomaterial. So these are the spheres and clusters. The one dimensional nano, these are the example of fibers, wires and rods. 2D dimension or are film, plates and networks, and these are the 3D nanomaterials. So the example of these are the like this buckyball, one dimensional example is the nanotube, 2D is the graphene, and 3D is the graphite. So these are the different types of the nanomaterials that are found in, you can say that can be prepared in our lab. Now we want to know what is the significance of nanoscale. Why this times our, you can say, more emphasis in going the nanoscales in developing the nano properties. Why we are doing this? So you can say, and going to prepare the material at the nanoscale. So that's why we should know what is the significance of the nanoscale. Actually, it is observed that the properties are distinct on the nano scale from those at the larger scale, or you can say the macro or the micro scale. So the properties like the quantum, mechanical and thermodynamical become vital at the nano level, and these are not seen at the macroscopic level. So the nanoscience is based on the fact that along with the physical dimension of the material, the properties of the material also change at the nano scale. The transformation in these properties of the material in this confined space is because of the change in the electronic structure of the material. So these properties of the material are distinct at the nano level due to the following two reasons. Why this happened? The change in properties is basically because of these two reasons. The first one is the increased relative surface area, and the second one is the quantum confinement effects. These factors can change or enhance properties such as reactivity, strength, and electrical characteristics. That's why the material at the nanoscale shows the different properties against the macro scale. So first we discuss the surface effects. As the particle decrease in size, a greater proportion of the atoms are found at the surface compared to those inside. For example, we can consider like this: if the size is 30 nanometer, it means 5% of its atom on its surface. If size is again reduced at 10 nanometer, then it means more, 20% of its atom on its surface. If size is again reduced, let's consider 3 nanometer, then 50% of its atoms on its surface. It means surface area of the atoms are increased. And we know well that if the surface area is increased, in that case reactivity of the metal or elements are also increased. So that is the reason nanoparticle are more reactive than the large particle, or you can say catalyst. So the behavior of the nanoparticles or materials may depend more on the surface area than the particle composition itself, and relative surface area is one of the principal factors that enhance its reactivity, strength and electrical properties. You can see from the following figure that um, here in this figure, this 10, if the, you can say, size is 10 micrometer, it only, you can say, this number of molecules can arrange in this particular surface. While at the 25 nanometer size, the large number of, you can say, molecules are at the surface. So surface area is increased. So that's why nanoparticles or materials is million times more efficient than compared to the normal macroparticles. So large spherical particles do not cover much surface area, while nanoparticles of equal mass of smaller platelet particles provides thorough coverage, about 106 times more. So this is the reason relative surface area is increased, so the reactivity is also increased. The second thing, quantum confinement effect. Actually, the quantum confinement is responsible for the increase of energy difference between the energy state and the band gap. It is observed that once the diameter of the particle is of the same magnitude as the wavelength of the electron wave function. So it means that it is, you can say, that the wavelength, we are able to see that band gap of materials becomes narrower as the constituent atoms becomes heavier. So in the case of nanoparticles with diameter of approximately 2 to 10 nanometer, the band gap is increased due to quantum size effects compared with the bulk material, and it leads to various fluorescent color reflecting small differences in the particle size. Okay, so the in nanomaterial, the band gap is increased. Because of this increased band gap, the properties of the, you can say, materials is changed. So this because the band gap is related to different properties like the optical and electronic properties of the materials. So when materials are this small, their electronic and optical property deviates substantially from those of the bulk materials. We can see that in this figure, as the size is decreasing, this is the not, this is for the normal macro, you can say, material, bulk band structure is there. Here band gap is small, this is the valency band and this is the conduction band. So band gap is small. As the size decrease, this band gap increased. Okay, so because of this increased band gap, you can say the properties of the molecule are changed. We can see here, I taken as the example of the gold nanoparticles. Here, these are the various size gold nanoparticle, and you can see here, because of the size reduction in size, the difference in color occurs. You can see here the much macro molecules of the gold. So this is completely, you can say, this color. Then as the size reduce, this goes to the red color. So these are the, we can infer or we can get an idea at the size of the nanoparticle is size of the gold particles are decreased and goes to the at the nano scale, then it becomes red in color. Now the synthesis of the nanomaterials. How can we synthesize the nanomaterials? Actually, for the synthesizing nanomaterials, the first requirement is the to design and the preparation of the nanoparticles with the high functionality, and also we want to fabricate nanomaterials which have the suitable properties. So the main, you can say, main problem is the for the preparation of the nanomaterial is that we have to to control the size, shape, structure, composition, and purity of the constituents. So we should keep in mind for the keep in mind of these things for the synthesis of the nanomaterials. So that's why the first key, or let's say the key to make nanoparticle is how to control and stop the reaction to make the nano size products, because the properties of the nanoparticles depends upon their size and morphology. So for this we are using two approaches. One is the top down and other one is the bottom up approaches. So bottom up, so we can see here what is the this top down and bottom up approach. For the synthesis of nanoparticle, we can see from this figure there are two approaches, top down and bottom up approach. In top down, we start with the bulk metal, then powder it, and we, you can say, reduce its size. You can say step by step, and convert it into the nano scale level. While in the bottom approach, we start with the least, you can say, size, you can say, of the material, that is atoms, and then we, you can say, clusters, go to clusters, and then we get the nanoparticles. So here we start from the bulk, and here we start from the atom. This is the difference between the top down approach and bottom down, bottom up process. So first we discuss what is the top down approach. Also should keep in mind that here the in the chemistry, this is the very small topic, so I am not going in depth to the different methods. I am just taking the names of these methods. So top down approach, how do we start? This approach refers to the slicing or successive cutting of a bulk material to get nano sized particles. In top down techniques, the starting material is the solid state of the matter. Different methods we adopted are the mechanical method, cutting, etching, or and grinding, or the ball milling, or the lithographic techniques. So these are the different methods that we are using in the top-down approach. So what are the advantages? In the large scale, we can use this top-down method for the large scale production. Here, the deposition over the large substrate is possible, and also the chemical purification is not required. Disadvantage, what is the disadvantage? Broad size distribution है 10 to 1000 nanometers particles can be possible. Shape or geometry is varied, and also deposition parameter control is also difficult to achieve. So and also this is the expensive methods. Now the bottom approach. Bottom approach, as already clear, that it starts from the atomic level, atoms. So bottom up approach refers to the build-up of a material from the bottom, atom by atom, and then molecule by molecule. Its leads, atom by atom deposition leads to the formation of self-assembly of atoms, molecules, and clusters. These clusters come together to form self-assembled monolayers on the surface of substrate. All the bottom-up techniques, the starting material is either gaseous state or the liquid state of the matter, while in the top-down approach, it is the solid states. That is the starting material. Here, both the physical and chemical process are involved. Both techniques are there. In the physical techniques, this is the physical vapor deposition, PVD. It involves condensation of vapor phase species. The second one is the evaporation, sputtering, plasma arcing, and laser ablation. While the chemical techniques are CVD, chemical vapor deposition, self-assembled monolayers, electrolytic deposition, solution gel method, pyrolysis, etc. What are the advantages? Ultra-fine nanoparticles are formed, nanocells, nanotubes can be prepared, deposition parameter can be controlled, and also this is the cheaper techniques. What is the disadvantage? Here till now we are not able to, you can say, prepare nano materials at the large scale. Chemical purification of the nanoparticle is also required. So these are the two different approach which we are using for the preparation of the nanomaterials. Generally, till now we are using the top down approach, because this bottom up approach is only succeed in the laboratory. We have, you can say, not able to prepare these materials by this approach at the large scale. Now we'll discuss what are the properties of the nanomaterials. So first we want to know what is the change in the physical properties. At the nanoscale range, the surface area to volume enhances. This enhancement transforms the surface pressure and results in a change in the interatomic spacings. So that's why this change happened in the interatomic spacing, and large volume to surface ratio has a combined effect on the properties of the material. So basically this is responsible for the change in the properties of the material. This chemical potential change due to the variation in the surface free energy, and as an outcome the melting point exhibits variation for the change in particular size. For gold particle, it is explained in the below graph. You can see here, after certain time, you can say the melting point of the gold becomes stable. There is no change. Okay, so here in the graph, this x represents the diameter at the you can say nanometer scale, and y axis represents the melting point in Kelvin. Now, what are the changes in the mechanical properties? The nanomaterials have the application on both at low temperature and high temperature. So, the mechanical properties are studied both at the low and high temperature. The magnetic properties, the magnetic behavior of the nanomaterial is size dependent. In tiny ferromagnetic particles, the magnetic properties are distinct from the very large material. In the range of the nanoscale, magnetic material has a single magnetic domain. So, the remnant magnetization and coercive field exhibit a strong dependence on the size of the particle. Optical properties. If the particle of a semiconductor are made tiny, then the effect of quantum come into the play, which limits the energies at which the electrons and hole can exist in the particles. Thermal properties. The nanocrystalline materials are expected to have a low thermal conductivity when compared with the conventional materials. Surface area, they have large surface area, and this is inversely proportional to the crystal size. Catalytic activity, they are you can say if a more effective catalyst than compared to the normal macro size catalyst. Electrical properties, they exhibit electrical properties in between semiconductor and metals depending upon the chirality of the molecules and diameter of the molecules. Semiconductor, most of the nanomaterial play the role of a semiconductor, and these nanowires, which have the features of being a semiconductor, are used in making the distinct components. Also, some nanomaterials behave as the superconductor. Now we will discuss what are the application of the nanomaterials. The unique properties of these various types of the intentionally produced nanomaterials give them novel electrical, catalytic, magnetic, mechanical, thermal or imaging features that are highly desirable for the application in the commercial, medical, military and environmental sectors. These materials may also find their way into more complex nanostructures and systems as new use for the material with these special properties are identified. The number of products containing such nanomaterials and their possible application continues to grow. Some application of nanomaterials are given below in the table. You can see here the application in electronics, ICT and phonetics. The general nanomaterials used are the carbon nanotubes, fullerenes and graphene. Similarly, in pharmaceuticals and medicine, the nanomedicines and carriers are used. In cosmetic and personal care, we use titanium oxide, zinc oxide, fullerene and gold. Catalyst and lubricant. Cerium oxide, platinum, molybdenum, trioxides are generally used. Paints and coatings, we use titanium dioxide, gold, quantum dots, etc. For environmental and water remediation, we use iron, polyurethane, carbon nanotubes, graphene. As agrochemicals, silica is generally used. For food packaging, gold, nanoclays, titanium dioxide, silver are used. Composite materials, graphene, carbon nanotubes are used. So these are the some general applications of the nanomaterials. So here I discuss the general, you can say, general properties and applications of the nanomaterials. Thank you very much.